Alright, back with another update, 2026. Haven't made one in probably 10 years. I've made videos here and there of different things. It's the same sim, but it's not the same sim anymore. There's parts that are the same as years ago that I built in high school, then there's parts that are new and different. I closed it back a couple of years ago just to make it all neat, cover up the frame. Moving forward into the sim, it's my instructor station running Prosim 737 and Prepar3d. It's my cockpit door. Just kind of built it and trimmed it out with different pieces of metal and the handles to pull the blowout panels. Coming into the sim, most of my panels are kits from Cockpit sim parts, with the exception of the forward overhead. That is, I don't know where I got, or I don't know what brand those panels are, because I bought them secondhand from somebody as a kit. Might be Open Cockpits or Cockpit sim parts. Pedestal, mostly Cockpit sim parts with 2 OEM audio control panels with a wooden pedestal box. And then coming in here, pretty much everything's interfaced. Maybe one or two things aren't. Missing a rudder trim gauge. It's honestly easier to say that I don't have a working rudder trim gauge. Doesn't work, and I don't have map lights on each side, but I do have the dimmers and everything for them. And I think that's about it for things that don't work. Coming forward, 3D printed fire handles. They pull and they twist. Fire test there, they light up. Right here, fire test for the cargo. Audio panels, they're older OEM audio control panels, so they're actual sound mixers. So I just have a bunch of sound cards that feed in. I have like one sound card for nav 1, one for nav 2, and it feeds both sides. Same for VHF1 VATSIM and VHF3 Discord. It all feeds into both sides, and it works vice versa too. So the mic selectors send your mic to different sound cards. So if you hit VHF1, it sends it to the VATSIM input, and when you operate the push to talk, it transmits on VATSIM, and if you hit that one, when you hit the push to talk, it activates another input on a joystick card to do Discord, whatever chat app you want to use. Throttle, it's the one I built before, homemade. It's automated now, or auto throttle now, motorized. So it's got motorized throttle, we can do that. And it also has interlocks on the piggyback levers. So if you pull these, you can't bring them past the reverse idle till the sleeves open, and vice versa, you can't bring them out of idle till the sleeves close. That's done with some car door lock actuators and some relays and micro switches. And all of the auto throttle packs and interlocks are actually under the instrument panel. I've got push rods that come back to the throttle levers. Trim works. It's got multiple speeds too, depending on flap settings. Flap lever. Move forward. 2 CDUs. They're both flight deck solution. The one on the right's from my friend 76M, so it's just living here right now. Coming up, main instrument panel. It's about 2 years since I redid the main instrument panel. OEM clocks, OEM AFDS. That's all the OEM up there. 3D printed mechanism for this. It's got the detents. There's no downlock solenoid, but who cares. 3D printed DU frames. That panel's 3D printed, that's from Cockpit sim parts. So the back plates, 3D printed Cockpit sim parts, 3D printed. I designed this myself. All the buttons work too. It's just a PCB is like sandwiched. in between the LCD and the faceplate, so it works correctly. Just need to get a knob for there. Got a lot of locking toggle switches, so like the fuel flow reset, springs, centers from that, and then you can put it to used and it locks. This, it locks and you have to pull it before max. And that's just a homemade mechanism with the spring. These actually aren't encoders, they spring center. All these are push to test. They've got a micro switch that just grounds out the LED. So all the maintenance from panels push to test, and the aft overheads push to test. And then anything I built before that's not. And I don't really plan on going back and adding it unless I'm already in the panel upgrading something else. The Yokes 3D printed yoke handle and yoke elbow. The handles are from 737 DIY Sim with a couple modifications. Then the yoke elbow I designed myself. And it's got a sprocket in there with a length of chain, then a cable that goes down to the centering mechanism. All the centering is done by 3-phase servo motors, with the exception of the rudder pedals and the brake pedals. And you get about, at maximum speed, you get about 60 pounds of centering force on the elevator. Then the ailerons, I think they're set at like 24 or 25. Autopilot moves them, and the elevator has an airspeed fill to it, just like the real plane. So right now they're easy to move, but once you start speeding up, they get pretty stiff. The sidewalls are my original ones. I'm gonna redo them at some point. They're kind of falling apart. A lot of the fillers falling out of them just from being moved around over the years, and they're just not in that great of a condition anymore. These master cautions, they're my original ones from years ago. The MCP is from Flight Deck Solutions. I'm overall satisfied with it. I wish the encoders had a little more defined clicks on them. They're very easy to turn. And I might actually open it up and try to change those myself to something a little more higher quality. Over there, I got the tiller. Works correctly. Rudder pedals are linked. Not only the rudder is linked, the brake pedals are linked too. So if you press the right one goes down on the other side. If you press the left one goes down. And the parking brake is linked to this lever mechanically. So you press the pedals down, you pull the lever, you let go of the pedals, and the lever stays, and the pedals stay down. And if you want to release it, you just hit the pedals, and the spring pulls it back, just like the real airplane. Trim wheels, I think I showed you all those. Overhead, a lot of locking toggles on it, all the gauges work. I think my outflow valve gauge is messed up right now. So you can take the toggles, and they're locking, so you gotta pull them out to move them like the real airplane. That's the only one with the white cap. The white caps are about $25 a piece. I got that one on a switch I bought on eBay. I'm not gonna pay $25 a piece for tons of caps up here. They're just gonna stay silver, unless I can figure out how to 3D print something. Just a lot of different ones. Just need to get 2 more on-off ones for those. And then there's 3 position ones there that I need, but I can't find any even on eBay used for less than $60 a pop, so I'm not gonna mess with those. I get most of the toggle switches secondhand on eBay. Because new, they're just way too expensive. So these are not push to test. If we climb out of the sim, we can go around back. Show the aft overhead first. Got the IRS switches. Those actually lock in the middle there. You gotta pull them to get them to off. You gotta pull them to get them to ATT. That's a homemade mechanism. Push to test up here. IRS panel. All the functions work. And it dims. And the dimmer is not done with software. It's done by a 555 chip built into the panel. That just changes the brightness internally. That audio panel is not interfaced, just the lights work on it. That test works. These are the Wi-Fi switches. I don't have labels for them yet, but it's where you disable the satellite antenna to de-ice. The stick shakers I've actually got working. One on each side. All my like trimmings and stuff are still the ones I built years ago. These used to, they're supposed to be inertial grills, but they kind of stopped working, so they just dangle now for the shoulder harnesses. All my air vents work too. I've got a blower I'll show in a minute. Blows air to all the vents with the system of ductwork. Coming around this side here. My computer rack is behind the FO. So I got the main PC, Avionics 1, Avionics 2, or that's backwards, Avionics 1, Avionics 2. There's an amp right there for the environment sounds, and a switch for the interfacing between all the computers. It's the internet feed right there. Try to keep everything bundled up really nice. Enjoy doing that. Here's my some of my ductwork. So the air comes from the other side of this end, but there's a duct that leads over to the blower. It comes out of the floor here for the sidewall vent, and that clear tube leads to the eyeball vent on the FO side. Here's the cords coming forward from the computer rack. That's a lot of the displays. Under there is it's where you can break the sim apart. That's all the power for stuff under the floor. So stick shakers, ventilation for the control, loading, and the pedestal power supply. It's all in that wiring bundle right there. Coming around, here's our power distribution system. Got 24 volt power supply, 12 volt power supply, 5 volt power supply, 3 volt power supply. That's only used for an outsider dim. When the switch is on bright, it switches into 5 volts. Got fuses for everything, and they're rated for the wire, the weakest wire in the run, just so nothing shorts out, causes any issues. Which is, it's unlikely since the frame's wood. You'd have to find another ground to short out on, but I don't really want anything catching on fire. Got everything nicely bundled up. Here's one of the dimmers. There's the OEM clock, Canon plug. That diode's actually what the 5 volt backlight on that sinks into the 12 volt input on this, so that diode keeps reverse current, 12 volt current from going into the 5 volt, and it allows the dimmer to dim the 5 volt stuff too. I've used that technique on a lot of different things that are OEM. Everything's got D-subs, so you can disconnect certain panels and pull them if you need to work on them. In the middle is my Arduinos for the main instrument panel. Up here is our Arduino for the master caution, master warnings. Pretty much everything's interfaced with Arduino. You can see the that push rod there I made out of electrical conduit. That's for the rudder, and there's push rods deeper down for the brake links. That's kind of hard to see how that works because it's buried under the floor. Coming across, got some more dimmers, relays. I think there's about 30 relays in the sim for various lights. Some of them are kind of redundant just because I wanted to keep wiring between components at a minimum. Down here's my auto throttle system. Can't really see much from down here, but you can see there's a hole in the back where the push rods go to the throttle, and if you look right there, you can see a slot with a pin, and that pin gets moved by a door lock actuator, and that's how the interlocks work. So right now they're down to allow forward movement. If you pulled the reverse, it would come up to allow reverse and block forward movement. That white gear on each side is for the potentiometer mounted on the side there. And then there's a reduction belt drive, 3D printed timer belts with 2 slipper clutches and 2 Jeep windshield wiper motors. They're modified to make it where the case isn't the ground anymore, so they needed access to the ground separate from the case so they don't short out, and you can drive them both ways. It's got its own power supply up there, 12 volt. There's a 5 volt buck converter for, I think, the relay control, or the, I think the buck converter's for the, it's for the servos for the trim indicators. That's what the 5 volts for. So there's a lot of projects where you just need like a random voltage, and you don't really want to run a wire all the way to another power supply. Fused to protect it. Pololu JRK cards run the motors. They have feedback directly from the pot, and they also send the lever angles straight to Prosim. Which I'm having issues updating Prosim. Every time I update Prosim, it breaks those, so I'm having to roll back. And I'm kind of tired of messing with this. I'm just leaving it on an older version of Prosim. There's a USB hub down there, industrial grade, all shielded USB cables. When you start adding motors, it gets frustrating having USB drop out every time you actuate a trim wheel, so you got to think about just different EMF causing issues. Coming around here, there's a duct that feeds the FO, or the captain side eyeball vent, and the captain sidewall coming from that breakout there. There's a tiller 3D printed mechanism. It's got 2 big springs. These are actually springs from a garage door. And then when you push the tiller one way, it pulls one spring. You push the tiller the other, it pulls the other. It's just got a cable looped around this 3D printed part. That's the stop there. It hits each side. And that is a pneumatic damper. It's just a piston 3D printed in there with a O-ring around it that limits the it limits like the force and, or what am I trying to say? It just dampens it. So there's like a little hole in the piston where you can only move it so fast. That way the spring just can't yank it back all of a sudden if you let go of it. Alright, here's all my ductwork going to my blower for the AC. That outlet there has a solid state relay on it that turns the blower on when the packs are on. I built a box around it to kind of quiet it down. But it's just like a ventilation blower. And it comes through this 3D printed part. It's got some bleeds there to because it's kind of limited in the putting a lot of back pressure on the fan. I didn't think that was good for it, so I bleed off some of the air right there. It's the overhead vents. And the other 2 tubes. One goes right there, and the other goes to the FO side. Coming up to the overhead, see my 3 projectors. Here's your Captain boom mic. It's a sidewall hand mic. Those run to the audio breakout board. It's kind of buried on the computer rack behind a panel, so I can't really show it right now. So overhead speaker. Here's the kind of the interfacing for the forward overhead. 5 Arduinos. Here's your power, where the power and backlight power comes in. Relay for backlight. Starter cutout. There's a door lock actuator that centers the starter switches on the engine. Is done starting. Right there you got 555 chip or 595 chips that do a lot of the different annunciators. Got the overhead USB hub, just industrial USB hub, nice USB cables. For a while, every time a starter would cut out, it would knock something off the USB, so luckily I've fixed most of that, I hope. Aft overhead's got one Arduino, and there's the power for it. There's this harness here that brings up power from the distribution down there, which I'm having some voltage drop issues in this one, so I think I'm gonna need some thicker wires. There is the FO comm speaker, FO headset, FO ham mic was down there, wiring for all those. My projectors are pretty old now. They're only like 1040 or something. It's really low res. And one of them's flickering all the time. I think they've about had it, so might change those out eventually. Here's the FO side overhead ceiling vent. And back through here, my audio control system's behind this right here. I might take it off and do a little clip of that. So that's kind of where it stands today. It's an ongoing project. I've got different things I want to do. I'm thinking about adding like the old mechanical style standby instruments. I actually got a OEM altimeter airspeed standby recently, and I'm gonna try interfacing it. Well, I was gonna try interfacing it by using suction on the static and heat up line, but that's kind of a complicated system. Like vacuum regulators cost like quite a bit, so I might go in and add maybe a stepper to replace the wafers inside to do the altimeter part. And then like that, if I get a standby attitude, and you know, it'd have to be 100% converted because it's an actual like gyroscope inside of it. Here's another locking toggle. I only lack one for the engine anti-ice. I'll put this one and a new one in it when I get one more of these. Yeah, just lots of different little things. Try to stay organized here. It's all my different spare components. I have two of my old EFISs and my old MCPs up here. And I really like the older style Honeywell ones. So I'm thinking of kind of rebuilding this, making it a little bit better. And maybe I could run it instead of the Flight Deck Solutions. And here's some of my 3D printed pedals. This is just like what I have in the Sim. I designed these and 3D printed them. It's the brake link right there, and a bearing, 1/2-inch bore bearing can be pressed on each side. Yeah, that's it for now, I guess.